Okay. Dog farts are the worst. If you don't have a dog, just so I'm saying. It says they get older, man. They don't care. Holy hell, dog. Sorry, I was coughing because Kilo let a ripper go. Oh my God, I might have to open the windows. My eyes are watering. $55 on sale. I lost my train of thought. Hello, welcome back. Before you do anything, hit the like button and subscribe, please. I appreciate it. Let's talk ARTTI. ARTTI R1, ARTTI R2, and now ARTTI R3, the mini guy. Kind of. I mean, look at, well, here's the first thing. Look at the boxes. Something else that also happened in this IM is you no longer get nice little carrying pouch, which is perfect size for pocketability, by the way. You get that. Not really a knock, considering its price. Or is it? Because, well, as we talk right now, this is the latest. So the ARTTI R1 came out first, 2 second, third. Okay, you get the pattern here. You can get the R3 for sub 25 bucks. You can get the R2 now, $40. You can get the R1 on sale, spring sale, $55 or less. But let's talk about the R3. What do you get? I think it's for me, it's a bit of a strange one. Yes, I went out and bought this and reached out as soon as I heard about it and bought it because, again, I love beryllium. Wow, what did I just say? Beryllium coated dynamic drivers. I just find they have a natural speed and dynamics that I find not only punchy but musical as well. Comes with a nice SPC cable. Now, this is one thing that I'm also going to tell you to get, because a lot of us have multiple cables, but not always USB-C cable, and it's $1 or so more with a microphone. I like this cable. It's a quality microphone cable, and it plugs directly into your phone or whatever else, and it just allows you to different flexibility, and you probably have other cables already to use in case you wanted to plug it off your dongle or DAP or whatever. So I recommend the USB-C version just for greater flexibility. What is the R3? Is it a baby R1, R2? Yes, there it is. And I'll pull up a graph of the R3, and then later on we'll do a comparison between R1, R2, R3. Before I get too far into this video and you spend too much time watching this video, I'm going to tell you straight up that I don't think you should buy this IM. Not that it's not a great sounding IM, it's just that it comes into a space, in some competition, stiff competition, that it probably, I think there's better value for you on the market. And at the end, I kind of explain more why, and stick with me. This is not going to be a long one, right? So what is the R3? The R3 is the fun baby brother of the R1 and R2. So it has more of a V-shaped sound signature. By that means, well, we look at the graph, it has more bass and a little bit more upper mids and treble than over the R1 and R2. And so all three are tuned a bit differently. So I think in the ARTTI mindset, it was to have a slightly different tuning and come into the budget space to try and compete. And they did a bunch of things to obviously bring it down to that price, which is one, losing the little case pouch and just giving you a little bag and making the box and packaging simpler, that kind of stuff. And that kind of also was the biggest problem. You're in a space where you're trying to compete, but there might be stuff out there already. How could you have known that may be better for the sound, right? To talk about its sound signature, just to give you an idea, because if you like a little bit more V-shaped sound, you'd probably like this one quite a bit, and it's not overly done, so which is kind of really cool. I like that about this one. So the space is between a R1, which has that beryllium fast slam that I really like, and that musicality, and that's a 3 dynamic driver one. And then the R2 kind of has this very organic kind of analog sound signature actually across the frequency spectrum. So the R3 is kind of right in the middle of that. It's not the fast slam, though the graph shows like lots of mid bass. It's the dynamic driver itself. It's the quality of the dynamic driver. You can tell that there's a difference there. The bass is still full. And that is still nice, but I was wishing for a more articulate bass, a faster, snappier bass, expecting the beryllium to bring that forth too, but again, I didn't really find that so much. So I find that the overall presentation in the mids too, were more mid-forward, of course, because with this tuning, and by that I mean it pushes vocals more prominently in the mix. So yes, you get the bass, but you get more of the vocal kind of in your face than you would with that pinna kind of turned down a little bit. So and again, if you like listening to female vocals, that is a win-win for you in this mix. And if we go higher yet into the frequency range, the highs have a nice sparkle. They really do, without ever getting really out of control. Or and that's because of that. If you look at this graph and this dip at 6 to 7K, that's called a sibilance dip. And that means that they tune it in a way where you still get more energy past it to bring out the instruments and make them sound more correct. But that sibilance dip, it'd be the other way, wouldn't it be? Anyway, presents less shouty, especially as you turn it up, and that's kind of why they tune it that way, and it works. Adding in the extra 8, 9, 10K, more information at the end as well, puts enough back into the mix to make it a fun tuning, right? To give more of the dynamics and the impact overall in a fun kind of tuning. So that's how the R3 kind of sounded. And if we do now a comparison to the 3, I mean, first of all, if you've seen the R1 has this nice kind of like army green metallic shell. It's a great shape. It really is a standout IM, and here's a graph of all three, R1, R2, R3, and you can see that the differences there. Now they are, R1 is probably the most balanced of the three. For sound-wise versus from R1 to R3, it sounds, again, more balanced, more correct, where the R3 is more V-shape. And you also sound like you get less mid-bass than the R1, so it doesn't hit as hard. And treble is more boosted in the R3 for sure. Where the R1 is the more balanced, smoother, it's a clear upgrade. Definitely more resolving and more natural sounding. It was a fabulously tuned IM, a real banger for under $100 in my opinion. Still the best multi-dynamic driver IM I have heard. Now, the R2 then came out with this resin shell, nice and small, very, very small and compact, and you could easily fit into all the ears, and it had a great shell shape and was light and comfortable. And it had a very organic, kind of natural, smooth tone across the board. And that's the way I heard it, or old school, that's I call it. And then the bass was like that too. So I said it sounded like one of those old wooden home speakers, right? You remember those three-ways with the 12-inch woofer and the 5-inch paper cone and the 1-inch tweeter, right? The three-way, and that's kind of what it sounds like. The R3 compared to the 2 is way more vocal forward. Bass is a lot more present. Again, in the R3 than it is in the R2. The treble is probably the similar treble kind of information again, but it's more extended and lively in the R3. So that's how those two kind of sounded like against the R3. So there's three different distinct tunings. The R1, which was the smoothest and most natural and most, had the best stage. It has it all. And yes, it's the most expensive. So leads me to this question of who is this for? Who is this R3 for? Well, and my answer was someone who wants to try a moderately V-shaped contoured sound, but not a super crazy V-shape, where it's overly boosted in too many spots and make it, sound fake. Yeah, someone who likes the coherency of dynamic drivers versus kind of like a cheap balanced armature set with sibilants, and they're not all like that, but I'm just saying. For a single dynamic, it's easier to be more coherent across all the frequencies than it is a hybrid or a balanced armature set. So, and a budget-conscious individual, really. I mean, we come up to that is primarily why this exists, right? I mean, it's the least amount of money you can spend for an ARTTI IM. And that kind of leads me into this segment. I mean, so just talk about price for a second. On the spring sale coming up, when I'm shooting this video right now of March 2024, the R3 you could buy for less than $25 US. That being said, the R2 can be had for under $40, $39 or less. And the R1, the triple dynamic with the metal shell and the nice cable and all that stuff, some pros. So first of all, under $25. It is affordable. Can come with the USB-C cord, which I do like. Unoffensive mid-range, V-shape sound signature. Again, a lot of people will like that tuning. Nice mix of sub-bass and mid-bass. So they did put a lot of mid-bass in there, though it does tend to bleed into the mids. But again, this isn't a audiophile tuning is more of a fun tuning, right? Highs have enough sparkle without overdoing it, and they tuned this driver to not, they worked the driver to its limits, I think, right? I mean, you can only do so much with a certain quality of drivers, and I think they pushed it to the limit and did a good job and didn't try to overdo it. It didn't try to add some crazy 8 or 10K spike to add some fake air, as I call it. And they give you a nice cable. So overall package, quite good. The cons. Again, that little pouch, you probably never use it. Don't even bother then, honestly. Again, not too much of a knock because at its price point. So that's fine. It's to be expected. Stage, though, is very intimate. Definitely not, you couldn't call this 3D. It's not underperforming per se. And lots could be, you know, forgiven at its price point, that's for sure. It still has decent height, but depth was kind of non-existent, and it was definitely just in your, it wasn't wide. I mean, average at best, okay? And so at the beginning, I don't know what he's been eating. Nasty. Jesus. Why at the beginning I said you shouldn't buy it, and I'll tell you why. Either save up a bit more. If you're gonna spend $25, if you can spend the $55 for the R1, by all means, absolutely 100%, especially at that sale price, buy the R1. Do yourself a favor. It's a fabulous, fabulous IM. Or if you want the more analog-y sounding IM in ARTTI, then buy the R2. But just know that it's kind of a chill set, right? Totally unoffensive. Or if you're gonna spend, say, $25, spend $4 more on the EPZ Q1 Pro. One of the absolute best under $50 IMs I have heard. Has fantastic stage, crazy holographic 3D stage, way more balanced, nicer highs, has much nicer air separation, especially comes into play in instrumental tone, the way instruments sound more natural and correct. And vocal sound, they come across as, like, you listen to the two side by side and you go like, okay, that's what, just make an example, this is what Cher's voice should sound like, this is what The Weeknd should sound like, and when you listen to the R3 you go, that didn't sound like Cher, and it didn't sound like The Weeknd as much as this one did. The Q1 Pro was way, way more resolving. So, I mean, again, for a couple more bucks, sorry, ARTTI, but it doesn't come to play. You're just not competing in the space. Though you did try, there's just better out there for the same. And in this case, it's the EPZ Q1 Pro for me. Easy win. So that's, but I'm still telling you to buy an ARTTI, because at $55, the ARTTI R1, put it on your radar. It's a great all-rounder, fantastic IM, highly, highly recommended. And that's it for this vid, because I just wanted to make it short and sweet, and the upcoming sale is coming out now or in a couple days on the 18th of March. And to give you some thought processes and a little bit more ammo of maybe where you should throw some of your money at this sale. So this is the Tone Deaf Monk and my nasty-assed dog over there, Kilo. Oh.